I'm surprised you took so long.
Well, we had to fill this lengthy runtime with something. Hello, everybody. I'm going to do a brief spoiler-free review here before getting into the actual analysis. Chapter 2 of Themandalorian was titled The Child, and was actually rather dull. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks great. One thing that is impressing me here is how well done the sets and the effects are. The fight scenes are very intricate, very well done, very well thought out. All of it is beautiful. But this was another episode filled with a bunch of OT references and very bland plot points designed to move us from one action sequence to another. It honestly could have and probably should have been merged into the first episode, and it would have felt a heck of a lot less forced and lengthened the runtime of both to basically what we've all come to expect from a streaming service episode. Not to mention that with the recap, logos, credits, and everything else removed from this episode, you only get 27 minutes of content. That is 6 minutes longer than an episode of the Clone Wars. This show would probably work better as a binge show and would make a fun afternoon or evening with friends, given that the way the show is going, the whole series is only going to be about 4.5 hours anyway. But Disney Plus is dropping this show one episode at a time, so any interest in the show has time to pretty much die down between episodes. It's only been 2 or 3 days since episode 1 came out, and I've already pretty much lost interest. That being said, if you haven't signed up for Disney Plus, definitely don't. It's not worth it at this point. Wait till they have a few shows out for you to enjoy, then binge them all over the course of a week or so, and then dump your subscription while you're on the trial period. Now let's get to the spoiler section, shall we? Yea, be warned, there be spoilers here. Our episode begins with the Mandalorian walking the baby Yoda through a chasm. The baby is still in his little hover bassinet, and it's actually really adorable. We get a rather nice scene where the Mandalorian senses some danger and pauses, and in the background you see a shadow move. It was really well done and gave it a creepy horror film kind of vibe. I really liked that. That impressed me. A moment later, he gets attacked by a few Trandoshans in our first reference back to The Empire Strikes Back, specifically to Bossk. The fight itself is an alright action piece, but I remember thinking that it needs music. Music has been a staple of the original Star Wars movies and the Clone Wars, but since Disney has taken over, the music seems to be very subdued, if it's even there at all. And in many cases, if it is, it's really just kind of terrible and forgettable. This show is no exception. A small, fast-paced score would have added to this scene a lot, but it just isn't there. The scene ends with a Trandoshan running towards the baby and getting shot in the back. It was actually really kind of hard to tell, and I didn't notice it until going through this the second time, but that shot actually disintegrates the Trandoshan in our second and rather creepy Empire Strikes Back reference.
No disintegrations.
We get a brief shot of the Mandalorian trying to fix his armor and see his arm is wounded, and the baby Yoda moves in to try and touch it. I get the impression that they are going to try and make it that the baby can heal things with the Force, or something like that. In any case, the Mandalorian simply picks up the baby and puts him back, and then does it again because the baby climbs back out and tries to do it again. And I got a laugh out of it. The scene is cute, and anybody that's ever dealt with a small child knows that's exactly how they are, but it was more an expositionary point than anything else. When they return to their ship, they find it being scavenged by Jawas, which is where I had a facepalm moment. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that Jawas were indigenous to Tatooine. Are we on Tatooine? Well, we never see two suns, so no, we're not. So it just felt odd to see them there. The Mandalorian proceeds to, holy crap, vaporize them? A few warning shots would have done it, dude. No need to kill them. The Jawas rightfully run away, and he runs after the sandcrawler? He climbs onto the side of the sandcrawler and starts to try and scale it. Seriously, what is your plan? Well, at least this scene has music. This is followed by a brief scene of the Jawas and the writers, proving that they have both seen Indiana Jones. We then get a shot of the baby in the bassinet following him and the sandcrawler, and I literally watched this and said out loud, what the fuck is going on? What he's doing makes no sense. Having the baby follow him makes even less sense. He gets to the top of the sandcrawler, killing a few more Jawas on the way, only to be shot by basically all of them at once with the ion blast that they used to disable droids. So our third OT reference ends with him falling off the sandcrawler.
He's dead, Jim.
It was a decent, well-done action sequence. I couldn't figure out why he was doing it or what his plan was. I mean, was he just going to get on the sandcrawler and slaughter them all?
And not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Kind of brutal, and it didn't make any sense to me, to be completely honest. He survives his fall and ends up back at his ship to see that it's been completely stripped. So he takes the baby to go see the prospector. There is some kind of skeletal plot development about how they can't get into the sandcrawler and will have to trade to get the parts back. And while they're doing this, the baby Yoda has a funny scene of chasing a frog and then eating it whole. So they go to talk to the Jawas, and I was stuck thinking, yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy to see him after he just killed at least 5 of them. They even reference this in the show when the prospector comments,
They really don't like you for some reason.
and the Mandalorian replies with,
Well, I did disintegrate a few of them.
They make the Mandalorian leave his rifle and blaster, but forget the flamethrower, which he of course uses in the negotiation, much to the frustration of the prospector. They negotiate that in order to get the parts back, the Mandalorian has to go get an egg. This scene is honestly the bulk of the plot of the episode. It is very basic and predictable. Parts are stolen, he needs them back, he needs to go get mythical egg, and that's it. That is the entire plot of this show. So the egg is guarded by what I assume is its mother, a woolly rhinoceros or something. I don't even know. So the Mandalorian fights it and wait, why did he take the baby? What the hell? Anyways, he gets his butt kicked, and just as the rhino is about to kill him, the baby force lifts it off the ground. Hey, at least the little guy is shown struggling here. The baby passes out and drops the rhino, which the Mandalorian then kills while it's stuck being confused. The fight was your typical monster fight against a hero. His rifle jams so he couldn't just disintegrate it, and every other weapon he tries to use fails. It was an alright action sequence, but I kept asking why he took the baby along with, only to realize that the plot required him to. He delivers the egg to the Jawas, who immediately dig in. They get the parts and head back to the ship, where the Mandalorian comments that they will need a repair facility, only to have the prospector just start putting it back together himself. Honestly, this was the part of the episode that made the most sense to me. Living on a planet like this, you'd have to be good at fixing, well, everything. We get a montage of the repairs, the Mandalorian leaves with the baby. End of episode. And that literally was it. It was pretty well made, except for the music, but the plot seems to be paper thin and only there to move from one action sequence to the next. If we were able to stream the whole thing, it would be far more interesting, but we don't have that option for reasons. Disney, I don't know what they are. But I guess we'll see what happens in episode 3. A week from now. I'm honestly more curious to see just how long that episode is, see if they manage to somehow make it shorter than this one or not, than I am to actually see what happens in the actual plot of the episode. Until then, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Have a good night. Bye-bye.